With Spider-Man Far From Home coming out this July, I'm reviewing all the Spider-Man movies leading up to it, and today we're going to start off with Spider-Man, the one that came out in 2002. And right before I go on, here's a little message. Before I go on, don't forget to smash that like button, smash that share button, and if you're new here, smash that subscribe button so you can watch more reviews like this one, and give a little tap to the gray bell icon for notifications on my latest uploads. Back to the review. Spider-Man is directed by Sam Raimi, and this is basically the origin story for Spider-Man. We see Peter Parker get his powers, and he decides to become the hero Spider-Man. But eventually, he has to fight the Green Goblin, this guy who's killing people and whatnot. All the while, he has to balance this romance he's blossoming with Mary Jane Watson. Now, many people love this movie. I think it has like a 90% Rotten Tomatoes, which is a lot. And when I was a teenager, I really loved this movie. I thought it was really cool seeing this Spider-Man movie and whatnot. And so I rewatched it for this review, and I can honestly say this. It does not hold up at all. Like, at all. Yeah, I am not a big fan of the Sam Raimi movies. And honestly, they get worse every time I watch them. And Spider-Man, the one from 2002, is no exception. This movie is supposed to be a PG-13 action movie, and yet it feels more childish and corny and dumb than the actual kids animated Spider-Man movie that came out last year. First, let's talk about Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker. Admittedly, Tobey Maguire got better in the other two movies, but in this one, he feels very wooden. Like, check out this little line of dialogue he has in this movie.
I read all your research on nanotechnology. Really brilliant.
And you understood it?
Yes, I wrote a paper on it.
He has his moments of, pretty good acting, but the rest of the time in this movie, especially around the beginning, he just feels like he has the personality of a sponge. And it only gets worse whenever we have the romance subplot, which is atrocious, to be honest. The acting between Maguire and Kirsten Dunst are okay at best, but the dialogue is so awkward and corny. Again, look at this exchange of dialogue right here.
Hey, you have blue eyes. I didn't notice without your glasses. You just get contacts?
Like, really? And to be honest, I hate Mary Jane Watson in these movies. She's probably one of the most infuriating characters I've ever seen in a movie. She's an idiot, she's a bitch sometimes, especially in the other two movies. She constantly needs rescuing. Like, I think she needed rescuing like 4 times this movie, if not more. I'll put the official number right here. But yeah, she has to be saved a lot in this movie. And if this character just couldn't get any worse, she cheats on literally every boyfriend she has.
I said, bitch.
Yeah, what a likable character. Now let's talk about Willem Dafoe. Willem Dafoe is interesting in this movie because when he's Norman Osborn, he's actually pretty cool. Like, he's charming, he seems very intelligent, and even intimidating when the scene calls for it. That all changes when he becomes the Green Goblin, though. Like, wow. His costume looks like a Power Rangers villain with a voice to match. His lines are mostly puns or just corny little sayings that you would hear in a Saturday morning cartoon, not a PG-13 action movie. Also, for some reason in this movie, he wants to try to team up with Spider-Man, even though he's got Spider-Man in a position to where he could easily kill him, like, right there. But no, he's got to try to team up with him because we wouldn't have a climax. Because of course we wouldn't. Also, I'm going to say this. The action is just terrible. Whenever they use CGI, it's not good. Like, it's not convincing, so it's just kind of clunky and weird. And whenever it's a practical fight, it doesn't allow for the characters to, be larger than life how they actually are. And it looks like it was choreographed for like a Power Rangers episode. Again, not like a PG-13 action movie. Also, I'm just going to say this. bio web shooters are ridiculous. Now, if you don't know, Spider-Man is traditionally known for having built his own web shooters. Like, Peter Parker used a lot of scrap parts to create web shooters with this, like, webbing fluid or whatever. And that's a really key, important thing to know about Spider-Man, because Peter Parker is a genius. Like, he's like genius level intellect. So him creating his own web shooters gives us a chance to see him as a very bright individual, even though everyone makes fun of him. But no, in this movie, I guess they thought that, you know, a teenager building his own web shooters was too unrealistic. So let's have him, you know, have webbing come out of his wrists, and, you know, biologically, because, you know, I think spiders do that, right? Of course not. Like, if there was gonna be web coming out of any place on Peter Parker's body, wouldn't it come out of his asshole or something? The wrestling scene is pretty stupid too. Like, why are there no ID checks for those who sign up? Like, no proof of identity? I mean, how is this wrestling match even legal? Also, during this scene, there's also a pretty offensive line given by Peter Parker when he confronts Bonesaw, and it's this line.
That's a cute outfit. Did your husband give it to you?
Was he trying to insult Bonesaw by making a gay joke? Is there something wrong with being gay, if he were? That's a very confusing joke in my opinion. It makes me kind of question Peter Parker's morals a bit. Even Spider-Man's introduction is very awkward and corny.
Some kind of freaky little something wackadoo.
Again, this is coming from a film that's supposed to be a PG-13 action movie. However, I will say the one consistently amazing thing throughout this entire trilogy is J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson. I mean, he's hilarious, he's funny, he's a douchebag, and I love him. He's honestly the one thing that's always great in this entire trilogy. Also, there's this World Unity Festival scene that features some musical guest named Macy Gray. I have no idea who that is. The only thing I can guess is that she was popular in the very early 2000s, and the filmmakers just decided to have her in this movie as a cameo, without thinking about the ramifications of getting in on a trend that could very well become dated in a few years. Also, this kid is very, very stupid. Like, you couldn't just move? Spider-Man didn't have to save you, you dumbass. So yeah, as you can probably tell, I don't like Spider-Man. I think it is one of the most overrated superhero movies ever made. The characters are idiots. The action is terrible. I mean, really, there's just not a lot of good things I can say about Spider-Man. It's not terrible bad. It's not to that level, but I don't get why everyone loved it. I think it's just really corny and stupid in all the wrong ways in a movie that's trying to be a little bit more serious in terms of comic book movies, but yet falls into the same problems that a lot of comic book movies had at the time. I mean, some people will try to say, oh, it's corny because it's trying to be like the comics. That doesn't make it any better. Just because something works in a comic book doesn't mean it's going to work in a live-action environment. This movie should have actually tried to be a movie instead of trying to be like the classic Spider-Man comics. Because this movie just feels very tone-deaf. Does it want to be goofy and silly? Does it want to be more serious? I don't know. This movie has no idea what it's trying to be. I think Spider-Man is a mess. I do not like it. I just don't understand why people do. But hey, that's opinions for you. So yeah, what do you think of Spider-Man? If you have seen it already, let me know in the comments below what you think. Thank you so much for watching. Give this video a like, share the video so that we can get the channel circulated. Don't forget to support my Patreon on my Patreon page, or if you can't do that, then consider supporting me through my PayPal donation button in the description below. And if you want to see more, click this.